Hello, I decided to do this video, so can I explain a little bit what happened in assignment 3 because I think it's important. You will have to do like a synthesis now for this first task. So let's see if I can give you some more information using some examples from students. I have here one that it's I think from Somaya, and I really enjoyed this example because as you can see, this is it asks the question why a site analysis, and I think some of you didn't really understood what it's meant by this. So why do we do a site analysis? We do it to understand, we do it to check, to study, to contextualize, to examine the existing opportunities and the problems in a site like our site. Why is it so important? Because we need to take decisions on how to respond to the site in our design. This affects our design. So and to have, like she mentions here, to have a meaningful response to our concept, we have to consider the conditions of the site. That's why it's so important, and that's why I'm doing this video, because I need to explain to most of the students that only were able to cover the analysis, the data collection, but not the analysis. So data collection is just the information that it's there, but the analysis is how you read the information. So it's much more important, and I stress all over on this point that what is more important in this assignment, it's actually the analysis of the data and not actually the data itself. Of course, you have to have accurate data and you have to have meaningful data, but if you don't do the analysis, then at the end, how can you answer this? What is there in your, so the ones that had this comment, just think about this. Do you already know how to make those decisions and how will be, or you are still in the position that you need to check them and to go through your assignment again? Because right now, maybe like 30% of you already have the SWOT analysis and already have some ideas, but all the others, they will have to go back to the third assignment because the analysis wasn't there, wasn't present, so they can understand how then they can do this. Okay. Now, one thing that also brought a lot of confusion between students was the lanes, number of lanes, and the ways. How do we see this? So, to clarify this, a lane, it's not a road. A road, it's composed by several lanes. It could be one lane, two lanes, an infinite number of lanes. So here, let's say that this is the street or the road, and it has 1, 2, 3 lanes. So the lane, it's actually the space that one car occupies in one of the directions. In this case, this has two ways. You can see the car, like in one direction, and maybe those two in this direction, and it has overall 3 lanes. So when we talk about ways, we talk about direction, means the direction, and when we talk about lanes, it means that I can have a road with 2 lanes, each one with one direction, or I can have a road that has 2 lanes for each direction. Okay. And here then you have the sidewalk, and also from that side the sidewalk. Okay. Now there was another thing, that it was the physical separation between lanes. So here I have another example, and you can see that in this case we have here again a lane, we have here another, and we have here like parking space, and then the sidewalk, and then a big sidewalk from this side. And you'll notice that many times those physical divisions are kind of highlighted by trees, or in this case, like in your country, like palm trees. So what we call the physical barrier, it's actually this part here. This is dividing. So let's say if this goes in this direction and then this one comes in this one, this is the physical barrier. So they don't cross, together. You have a physical thing, could be a tree, could be a kind of a small sidewalk, could be a fence, It could be a space where sometimes you have, the lamp posts on so you can give the light to the street. And if you think about your highway, you actually have, those palm trees um, to divide the directions and the lanes from both sides. So this is what there is different ways to divide physically the lanes, and this is what we mean with the physical division, because it was also like some confusion regarding this. Now, regarding we will start to talk about the analysis, okay? So, when we had the design, or sorry, the assignment brief, there were some topics that you need to cover. But you needed to understand that many times those topics, they depend on the site that you are choosing. So I think this was a nice strategy by one of the students, I think the same one, that actually define what does it mean in her site analysis to have a primary road, or to have a secondary road, or a tertiary road, because these names, primary, secondary, tertiary, they can mean different things depending on the city, the country, the location that you are. Okay, so maybe a primary road now, it's kind of a road like the highway, but I had students just concentrating in the area around the fort, where you just have like the normal roads of, like, say, one road with two ways. And it's not the same as having this. That's why I said that you should use like the bigger scale and see all the CIF areas, so you can understand the hierarchy between them. The other thing that it was a problem, it was to understand the intensity of the cars, because what I noticed is it seems that students were checking the intensity of the cars by looking at Google Maps. Sorry, before I go there, if we look at this plan, let's say, I think we can all kind of agree, I think everyone did this. So this is kind of like the highway, it's the main one. And then we have also this node here that it's kind of important with this extension. And then we have kind of this area that is a little bit busy, also like with this beginning and also from this side. But then when we go here, it starts to kind of decrease in terms of hierarchy. The same thing here in the middle when you have the connections, okay? So I think this was almost clear for everyone. Now, regarding the intensity, I have here an example of, I think it's May assignment. And to explain, I'll go to the intensity after this, okay? Now, or no, I think I will explain it right now. I think it's better. Okay, so here what May did was she tried to analyze the intensity of the cars, but she divided by morning and night, okay? And she was checking the intensity of the vehicles in the site. And there is one thing, if you went to Google Maps to check the traffic conditions, this won't give you like a very good idea unless you reflect a little bit about that, okay? So most of the students were saying that this is the most, let's say, intense area of traffic, and this is like medium. But what you need to know is that the intensity, it's the number of cars that pass through a specific point. So we count the cars. So let's say that I count cars here or there or here or here or here, and then I have a point here or there, and then I count the average, let's say by 1 minute or 2 minutes. You'll do this then in graduation, and you know the intensity, it's by the number of cars that cross that specific point. If you think about this, one thing Google Maps give you, if you have traffic lights here and there and there, of course, just with a minimum number of cars, you'll have all this area red, okay? And then they will show that this is congested. But that doesn't mean that this area has more cars than all of this highway. This means just that this length, and with a traffic light and to turn to left or right or go in front, by a particular time it's red. Of course, this highway, it will take much more time to be congested than the other ones if it's not like affected by all. So I think some of you were kind of trapped in this, okay? So what normally happens is that this one is the most intense place where more vehicles go through, and then there is some variation. So let's say that, for example, if this is like a business area, of course they will have lots of movement, traffic, and people going around during the day. At the same time, here, because it's residential, it will be almost empty because everyone is working outside, right? But then when you come home at night, this will be the part that it's almost empty, and then places like shopping malls and residential areas, they will be the ones that are kind of more intense. Okay, so again, the same student, she tried to do the night, and then you check here the variation. Of course, variation, if you just look at a specific point, it could be rather different than other. We usually do this for weekends and weekdays to actually understand. In this case, in the night, she's saying that next to the commercial area in the hotels, it's the one that it's the busiest one, and then this is kind of median because it's kind of injecting people through the other lanes, and then as you go along to the other spaces it becomes lower. I think she also put it this one here because there's a commercial area and also restaurants here, and also because if you look at this area next to your site in Karbabad beach, it's a very active area at night, so there are some points that are actually the traffic or the intensity of cars, it's bigger there. Okay, now I was going to show you for students that had the comments that they only did the data collection and not the analysis. I hope this is enough to understand what is the analysis. So when you look at something like this, all this section here and all of this on top, you can understand that this is a tracing paper and on top of another one, okay? So there are some extra information here, and some asterisks and some legends and some graphics that are trying to represent what is there on the site. And this one, it's linked with this, so you can see, because first it was covering this area and then it's kind of covering that one. Okay, the same thing here. Let's say a different example, for example for parking, but now we are kind of zooming in to our site and we are seeing, let's see if I can see, this is a very good photo because it shows you the street that it's facing your site. Your site is here, this one. You have really nice trees and palm trees going around it. You have the museum here with the parking, and this is the road with the sidewalks. So this is important for you to understand. This picture is somehow from this kind of perspective, so you can see this, and it's like a panoramic, so it's showing everything. And then here the same thing, I think you have like a dead end or a closed street, also the sandy area, and again some more information going on the site to explain what is happening. The same thing here with some more, we're using tracing paper on top. And then this one I already showed. Let's see this one, for example. So here the street use intensity, but in this case we asked also for pedestrian intensity, and this is a zoom in again. It's actually nice, things like this, they are not data collection, they are analysis. These things written here, if you go through the things and read them, it's like you are questioning the things, you are thinking about those. And what I noticed from the ones that were just doing data collection, it was just the plans with just color things, but not like an additional information about what was happening in the space. You have some photos of the pedestrians walkways, like going to the fort, and also some kind of pedestrian route. This is the one of the most important. Also this one, you have the sidewalks, and then the weak and the medium intensity, also accompanied by the vehicles. And here this informal area that it's next to your site. We have some more things about the public transport where, because you have a bus stop in your site, you have the lanes, you have the type, and then you have also here information about it, more about the built and unbuilt areas, and again some more considerations and also some graphical things related to this. And more than that, for the ones that didn't understand how to do like the patterns, to try to kind of with bubbles understand if there's a difference between the area and try to classify, give like keywords to that and call them, label something.